Base set Abra with a printer hickey labeled the Dreamcatcher printer hickey. Absolutely love it. This is a one-of-one card, and the uniqueness of this card is definitely shown in this price here. This sold for $69.99 and had an error value increase of 5,684%, which is number 3 on our list of error value increases. Alright, hey, are you still here? We're past the 30-second mark, so I think the YouTube gods can maybe show this to a couple more people now because my retention after 30 seconds isn't the best. How are you guys doing? My name is Matt, and welcome back to Matt's Pokemon World. I renamed my YouTube channel because I want to separate different things, so now I have a new YouTube channel with non-Pokemon stuff, and this is for Pokemon stuff. Let's get right back into it. Here we have a Radiant Alakazam, a Japanese card with a texture shift. Now, I'm notorious for not knowing modern errors, but you can see here, if you zoom in real close on the card on the right, you can see that the texture is actually shifted upwards a little bit. And I noticed it. I'm very happy that I did. And this card was listed for $45 and sold for $45. Next up, we have an Armaldo EX with a Hollow Bleed error. And if you haven't caught on yet, I'm going alphabetical order today. I absolutely love the swirl that's popping through in the middle of the card, and I just absolutely love Hollow Bleeds. And this card sold for $49.95. Next up, we have a Fat Bottom Base Set 2 Blastoise with a miscut. I say Fat Bottom because you can see a lot more of the yellow on the bottom of the card than the top of the card. And you cannot beat the Base Set 2 Holo Foil. I think it's just the absolute best out there. It's my favorite set for the Holo Foil, and seeing it in the light, seeing it shimmer. And you can see we also have a swirl right next to Blastoise. It's a big one. And this card was listed for $699.99, but had a best accepted offer price of $450. And because this is alphabetical order, Blastoise goes after Blastoise, and so here we have a base set Blastoise with the stage error. Now, this card only got graded a PSA 4, so that's why the price isn't crazy high, but you can see the error value increase is still pretty respectable at $143. So this card sold for $133.56. Next up, we have a Topps TV4 Brock card with a miscut. Now, I did not select this card for this week's recap because of the sale price or the EBI. I selected it because of contrast. I absolutely love that the left side of the card is showing another card and is literally night and day. You can see this photo of Brock was taken at sunset, and we have another bright card on the left there. Absolutely love that. I think that is very, very unique, and someone got a good deal for this, in my opinion. I would have loved to snatch this up. This sold for $6.99. By the way, I only got 4 hours of sleep last night, and I have a lot of coffee running through my veins. Plus, I have to get this video done one day earlier, so I am just rushing through this. I'm having a good time, and let's get right back into it. We have a very cool card here. We have a Caterpie with a crimp and cut error. You can see that this Caterpie was so severely crimped that it actually cut the card and crimped the top part that was cut off, and also the remaining top of the lower half of the card. I absolutely love this, and this card sold for $39.99. It had a 2,953% error value increase, which is number 4 on our list of error value increases. Next up, we have a base set Charizard with a Hollow Bleed error. Now, I need to poke fun of the eBay seller here. You can see they only have 6 listings or 6 ratings for sales that they've had, so they're probably fairly new. But boy, were they struggling to take these photos. It's funny to see them try to show one little part of the Hollow Bleed on the card. I'm sure they will get it at some point, and I definitely appreciate the effort to try and actually show the different parts of the Hollow Bleed on the card. But as you can see in the video here, they were definitely struggling with these photos. Besides that, we absolutely love to see a classic Charizard with a Hollow Bleed error. I'd also like to discuss the negotiations that happened on the best accepted offer price. This was listed for $249.99, but had a best accepted offer price of $249.98. So this titan of industry got a 1 penny discount, which I think is absolutely hilarious, and I love it. Next up, we have a base set Clefairy with the red heart printer hickey error. And this is one I've always heard of, but never really saw shown up previous 13 weeks I've been doing this show. This is week 14. And Very interesting to see, and I didn't know it would sell for this much. I know repeating printer hickeys are usually, more of a premium card, but I didn't think it'd go for this much. You can see this card sold for $250. And with an error value increase of 2,678%, this is number 6 on our list of error value increases. Just kidding, it's number 7. Now, as an eBay researcher of error Pokemon cards who searches sold eBay listings every week, it can be annoying when you search error Pokemon card sales, because this card would show up a lot because it is computer error Pokemon card. And I am absolutely so sick of seeing this card. But I saw one sold in a PSA 10, so I thought I would talk about it so I could rant about it and never talk about it again. So this card sold for $32.29 and is not an error, and I'm never going to talk about it again. Next up, we have a CGC 9 Koro Mew promo card with a off-center error. You can see left side of the card is a lot thicker than the right side of the card, and that's all I want to say about this card. We have a sale price of $338.50. Next up, we have a Crushing Hammer trainer card with a severe miscut. Now you can see we have a large portion of another card on the top of this, and I think the sale price could have been higher, but I get the seller one to just kind of get rid of the card, maybe get some quick cash. This was listed for $14.99, but had the best accepted offer price of $10. Here we have a Dark Persian promo card with the no HP error. If you don't understand what that is, just listen to what I said, and you can see that it has no HP on it. Very, very cool card. I absolutely love this error. And it sold for $159.99. Now, if I were to guess the condition of this card, I'd say it graded in about a PSA 8. And if you're wondering what PSA 8 Dark Persian no HP error would sell for, it sold for $229.95. Next up, we have a Dracovish V with a ultra severe miscut. You can see about 1/5 of another card is the left side of this Dracovish. So interesting. I absolutely love this. You can see this card sold for a lot. The seller definitely was informed enough to not put this in an eBay auction. They had it for best accepted offer price. I think you always get a higher price there. You can wait and wait for the right buyer. And this card was listed for $175, but had the best accepted offer price of $170. And is number 2 on our list of error value increases, with a error value increase of 10,394%. Damn. Usually I try to space out the heavy hitters in my videos, but since I'm going alphabetical order here, you got 2 in a row. We have a Dark Dragonite from Team Rocket set with the non-hollow error. So bottom right of the card, it says 582. That's typically reserved for the hollow version of this card. And some of them got in the uncut sheet, and now they were distributed, and now they're selling for a lot of money. You can see this card was listed for $600, but had the best accepted offer price of $375. And this card's in excellent shape too, I might add. And with an error value increase of 2,807%, it is number 5 on our list of EVI. Next up, we have a Dustox from Ruby and Sapphire, and this is a Hollow Bleed. Absolutely love Hollow Bleeds. I love when the lister actually shows a video to actually show the swirls and everything, because as we saw from the Charizard seller, sometimes it's a little bit difficult to actually see the Hollow Bleed. So always appreciate a good video, and this card sold for $29.99. Next up, we have an Emolga with a miscut. You can see this is that contrast miscut again, where the card on the left is just night and day different than Emolga itself. Absolutely love that, and this card sold for $96. And this card has been on eBay for a while. I would always see it when I would search Air Pokemon cards, and I would filter it from cheapest to most expensive. And at $2, or right around $2, I would always see this one pop up. I love the printer hickey. I don't know why I didn't pick it up myself. I just wasn't speaking to me. But this card finally sold, and it sold for $1.95. Next up, we have a Black Flame Ninetales variant from Base Set. And this got graded at PSA 8. You can see the card on the right has the Black Flame next to Ninetales, and the card on the left is more the Blue Flame. Again, this is more of a variant rather than an error, and it sold for $75 in auction this week. People love Espeon. We have a Espeon from Battle Academy with a severe miscut. You can see 2 alignment dots on the top of the card, and also another portion of the card on the top of the card. And this one sold for a good amount of money. You can see it typically goes for $2.92, but this one sold for $81. That's a heck of a sale price. Yeah. Here you go, boy. All right, you want to go back? Go have fun. With an EVI of 2,674%, this is number 8 on our list. Next up, we have a first edition Arcanine with a jungle symbol error. I'm totally kidding, this is a fake card. There is no evidence to suggest that this is a real card. My best guess is that someone took a jungle symbol and pasted it or printed it on Arcanine itself. There's no way these could have overlapped. They're printed at different eras. And I hope that the buyer knows this is a fake card. If not, maybe they're watching this and now they know. Who knows? But yeah, always want to inform people of the fakes out there. So be careful and don't spend your money on something that is fake. Next up, we have a Gligar from Unseen Forces with a hollow sheet convergence error. I've never seen this error before, but my assumption is that this is where the hollow sheet actually ended when they printed the card, which is why only part of the card is hollow. I think this is very, very interesting. I've never seen this before, and that is reflected in the price. I honestly thought it would sell for more. This one sold for $35 this week, which is pretty good. Had an EVI of 800 around. So that's very solid, but I thought this would be a bigger ticket item, but I guess not. Next up, we have a Gudra V-Star with a wonky miscut. You can see the card is twisted and has a lot more left than it does right. And this one sold for $36. Next up, we have a base set Hitmonchan with an inverted and miscut back. Now, I was unaware of this until last week, when I saw several of these show up, but it is actually a known error that every single base set card has this error. There's at least one of them out there. And you can see it always goes for a premium. This one sold for $136.27. And with an EVI of 1,836, this is number 10 on our list of error value increases. Next up, we have a Japanese base set Alakazam with the no rarity symbol. The little star on the bottom right is missing. And in a PSA 4, this one sold for $55.43. Next up, we have our boy Rookie Bob selling a base set Raichu. That is a Japanese card with a hollow bleed. And this one was graded a PSA 9. You can see the hollow is just shining all throughout the card. I absolutely love it. And we know a pro like Ricky Bob knows how to take these photos so it can accurately show the error. And this one sold for $154.99. Next up, we have a first edition Shadowless Machamp with the heavy bottom and 2 alignment dot error. Just kidding, it's just a miscut, but you can see it does have a heavy bottom and 2 alignment dots, so that might be a good error name for it. I don't know. This card sold for a lot, too. $500. In a PSA 4, it typically goes for around $34. That is incredible. I've said it before and I'll say it again, I always love seeing the vintage errors like this, especially the crazy miscuts that are not NFC or not factory cut. Next up, we have an Ancient New promo card with the Nintendo error. On the bottom of the card, it should say Nintendo, but they're missing the second N, so it spells Nintendo. And you can see the buyer got a pretty good deal here. This typically goes for around $1,200 in a PSA 10. But this one sold for $1,070. Funny enough, there was another PSA 10 Nintendo error, and this buyer got a little bit of a good deal. You can say they got it for about $30 less than the average. So that's good for them. Love this card, and PSA 10, you know, it's perfect. You can see they got a pretty good deal. And we have a third PSA 10 Nintendo error, and this buyer did not get a good deal. They overpaid by about $200. The sale price was $1,398. Next up, we have a Shadowless Ninetales with the missing attack error. You can see the card on the right, 80 is missing under Fire Blast. And this card sold for a very high premium. This one sold for $675. Even with an EVI of 1,555%, this did not make the top 10 this week. We got some strong cards in that top 10. Typically, I pick one card a week to talk about for the no jungle symbol error, but I'm making an exception this week because these all sold together. Someone sold a complete set of no jungle symbol errors, and I think this was a smart call. Typically, these cards, they don't sell for that much of a premium, but I think when you kind of package them all up like this, you probably will get more money. Love to see them all together, and I did not do the math, but I bet if you did, you would see that this actually sold for a higher premium if you break it all up than it would if you sold them all individually. Here's an error and a sale price I love to see. I never want the barrier of entry for error Pokemon cards to be so high that people cannot get their own. So when you see a base set yellow Cheeks Pikachu with a printer hickey on the bottom sell for $3.25, I absolutely love it. You can see the printer hickey is on the bottom outer part of the card. What is it called? The border of the card, yes. And yes, I love to see it. The card's in good shape too, so congrats to the buyer. 9 bids too. It's fun to see this go up in auction. I bet it would have sold more if it was a best accepted offer price, but sometimes the eBay bidding is more fun, so who cares? When I saw this card pop up this week that it sold for $295, I for sure thought it would be this week's winner. But typically, this card sells for around $20, the non-error version, so that really killed its EVI. This is an Ivysaur from EX Crystal Guardians. You can see the pre-release stamp is wonky, and now that I'm just looking at this card again, I actually see that there was the shadow behind the pre-release is still in the right position. It's just the top part, the hollow part, that is actually off. Very unique card, and it's, again, sold for a lot of money, $295 this week. And as Forrest Gump once said, that's all I gotta say about that. Rookie Bob, base set Raichu, Hollow Bleed, high sale price. Sold for $120 this week, and you can see the hollow foil is shining all throughout Raichu. Absolutely love it. Next up, we have a Reshiram from Radiant Collection with a contrast miscut, which is what I've called the other ones too. Again, this was just like the Emolga that popped up. We have a yellow border on the left side of the card, and it looks like we actually have an alignment dot in the bottom left corner too. I did not notice that when I first saw this card. You see something new every time you look at it. Absolutely love it. And this one sold for $146.50. Next up, we have an Umbreon VMAX, or also known as the Moonbreon, and this is a PSA 10. Absolutely crazy card, crazy sale price, but did not have a good EVI. Actually a negative 11% EVI. This card sold for $1,250, and the error is a little red dot on the back of the card. You can see it is to the right of the Pokeball. If you zoom in, if you're on a computer, I'm not sure if you can zoom in, you'll have to take my word for it or get real close to the screen. But there's a tiny little dot there, and you can see it did not add a premium at all. PSA does not recognize printer hickeys as an error, and so it really added nothing to the card. But if you're an error card collector and you like Moonbreon, then this was a good deal for you. Next up, we have an Ursaring from Evolving Skies with the square cut error. Now, when they cut Pokemon cards, it's a two-step process. The first one cuts it into a square, and the second cut cuts it into the rounded corners. And clearly, this Ursaring got away with that second step, or completely missed the second step, I should say. You can see 4 square corners here, which is very rare, especially for a card that was cut in the factory. Absolutely love it. You can see 2 alignment dots on the bottom left and bottom right. And this card sold for $20.65 and had an EVI of 2,691, which is number 6 on our list of error value increases. Next up, we have a Top Sun Venusaur with the no number error. In the pink of the card on the right, you can see there is no number. It should say 003. That is missing. This is a repeating error. And they usually have a fairly decent EVI, nothing ever too crazy, unless, there's some one-offs here and there. But this card sold for $109. Here we have a first edition Lieutenant Surge's Voltorb from Gym Heroes. with a large printer hickey. Now, I think at some point it becomes an ink error and not a printer hickey. That is for someone to decide. That is not me. Maybe CGC can tell us. But you can see over surges, there is a black dot there, a black sphere, orb, anything that is just obstructing the card. And I had this card sell for a lot more than it typically does. This card sold for $30 this week. Next up, we have a CGC9 Zamazenta V-Star with a miscut. Way more of the card on the left than on the right is showing. More of the border, I should say. And this card sold for $102.50. Next up, we have a non-hollow Fossil Zapdos with a misaligned print error. You can see the yellow of the card is actually shifted. You know what? Now that I'm looking at this, something else might be up too, because the border is off too. So my assumption was just the back of the card was kind of shifted, like the background color, but something else might be up. Either way, you can see it sold for a lot of money. A grade 4 typically only goes for $10, but this is a CGC 5, not a CGC 4. You can see it says grade 4 under average non-error price, but this is actually a grade 5. $10 is correct for that. I just do not want to go back and change it. I've got enough going on right now. And that leaves the EVI at 1900%, which puts it at number 9 on our list of error value increases. Also, very interesting card. I do love to see this. It's nice to see the non-hollows get some love every now and then, and you can see this really is just a unique card. Last week, I posed a question if you thought Weedle had ever won anything in its life. Well, that was last week's champion. Now I posed a question to you. Do you think Egg Incubator has ever won anything in its life? I really don't think it has until now. We have an Egg Incubator from Pokemon Go with an absolutely severe, crazy miscut. You can see this card is wonky, and it also has a damn near half of another card on it. But also, this card has 8 alignment dots on it. I think, yeah, you can't get any more. I don't think if you even crazily position everything, if you twist it so much, I don't think you can get more than 8. So that is just so interesting. And I know this seller was selling another card too. They sold a crimp card, but I know that this listing sold for as much as it did, obviously because of this miscut card. So I'm just listing that sale price for this one card. It's my show. I can do what I want. And this EVI was 22,028%. That is crazy. Egg Incubator Pokemon Go card, $223.49. And obviously number 1 on our list of error value increases. Well, this was a hectic episode this week. I've been swamped in my real life and getting stressed out about this show. Something might need to change. I put a lot of effort into these videos. Last week's video did not do well. That was kind of disappointing. But we will press on. I will find a way to make it happen, to save myself some time. It's very time intensive. I probably spend 15, 20 hours a week making these videos because I would like to pursue YouTube as a career at some point, but we'll see. I'm just rambling on here. If you watched to the end of the video, thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.